She woke up that morning with the same routine as always: coffee, a glance at her phone, then a look at the photo frame sitting on her dresser. It was her favorite picture, a warm family portrait taken just last year. But this time, something made her freeze. She leaned closer, blinking hard, thinking her sleepy eyes were playing tricks. The photo was the same smiles, same poses, same cozy living room background, but one face was different. Not missing, not erased, changed. Almost as if the person had never been who they were in the first place. Her heart raced. She whispered their name under her breath, hoping it would ground her. But the lips in the photograph no longer matched the face she remembered. How could this be? A photograph was meant to capture truth, to preserve memories exactly as they were. And yet, overnight, something impossible had happened. She picked up the frame, her fingers trembling, trying to convince herself it was a trick of the light, or maybe a cruel prank. But there was no sign of tampering, no cut marks, no smudges, no digital edits. The photo looked perfectly natural, almost too natural. The man who should have been smiling back at her, the brother she had grown up with, wasn't the same person anymore. His eyes, his jawline, even a faint scar on his cheek from a childhood accident gone. In their place was a stranger's face, blended seamlessly into the family portrait, as though he had always been there. Questions started flooding her mind. Was this her memory failing? Had she gone mad? Or was there something larger at play? Something that had reached into her past and rewritten it? The more she stared, the more uneasy she felt, as if the photograph itself was watching her, daring her to figure out what had really changed. She pulled open old albums, scrolled through her phone's gallery, even checked social media posts, desperate for proof. But the deeper she looked, the more horrifying it became. The stranger wasn't just in one photo. He was in all of them. Every birthday, every holiday, every simple snapshot. The face of her brother was gone, replaced by someone she had never met. And then, from the corner of her room, she thought she heard a voice. Low, almost a whisper. A voice that wasn't supposed to be there. The frame slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. She stood frozen, staring at the shattered glass at her feet, but her mind was somewhere else entirely. Years back, trying to hold on to memories that suddenly felt slippery. She remembered the laughter of her childhood, the summer afternoons when her brother would chase her through the backyard, the scar he got from falling off his bike. That scar was real. She had seen the blood, heard his cries, held his hand as their mother rushed for bandages. It wasn't just a picture, it was her life. So why did every photograph now tell her otherwise? Her chest tightened. The stranger's face in the photo carried no trace of the person she loved, and yet the smile looked so natural, so familiar, as if he had always belonged. That was what terrified her most. Not that her brother was gone, but that the world itself seemed to agree he had never existed. She tried calling her mother. Her hands shook as the phone rang, praying someone would confirm her sanity. But when her mother answered, the conversation spiraled into something she couldn't comprehend. "What do you mean, your brother?" her mother asked softly, confusion thick in her voice. "Sweetheart, you've never had a brother. You've always been our only child." The words cut deeper than glass. She wanted to scream, to insist, to demand the truth. But how could she fight back when even her mother's memories had been rewritten? The house they had grown up in, the birthday cakes with 2 candles instead of 1, the old soccer trophies. They were all still there in her head. Yet to everyone else, they seemed to have vanished. Panic surged through her. She grabbed an old shoebox under her bed, where she kept pieces of her past safe, ticket stubs, handwritten notes, silly little trinkets. Buried at the bottom was a folded paper, a childish drawing they'd made together. 2 kids, stick figures with smiling faces, one label me, and the other label with his name. She traced the pencil lines with her finger, tears stinging her eyes. This was real. She knew it was real. But even as she clung to it, the page began to feel strange in her hands. Was it her imagination, or did the faint lines of her brother's name look lighter than before, fading slowly, as if being erased by something unseen? Her heart pounded. The room seemed to shrink around her. This wasn't just about a photo anymore. It was about reality itself. Someone, or something, was changing it piece by piece, stripping away the life she remembered and replacing it with a lie. And then, just as she tried to steady her breathing, she heard footsteps in the hallway outside her room. Slow, heavy, measured. Someone was there. She pressed her back against the wall, her breath caught in her throat as the footsteps drew nearer. Each sound echoed like a countdown. But when she finally gathered the courage to glance at the door, the hallway was empty. No figure, no face, only the eerie silence of a house that no longer felt like home. She wanted to believe it was her nerves, that stress was twisting her senses. But deep down, she knew this was connected. The shifting photos, her mother's lost memories, the fading drawing. Whatever was happening wasn't random. For the first time, a terrifying thought crossed her mind. What if I'm the one who doesn't belong here? The possibility gnawed at her. Maybe she was clinging to a life that never existed. Maybe the brother she remembered so vividly was only a figment of her imagination. But the idea hurt too much to accept. If she let go of him, who would she be without those memories? The laughter, the fights, the comfort of knowing someone was always by her side? Her phone buzzed suddenly. It was a message from her best friend, Clara. Are you okay? I had the weirdest dream about you. Call me. Relief washed over her for a moment. Clara had always been the one who believed her, who knew her better than anyone. Maybe she could help piece this puzzle together. But when she called, Clara's voice was uneasy. I don't know how to explain it, she whispered. I woke up remembering someone who doesn't exist. A boy about our age, always with you. I can't even picture him clearly now. It's like the memory is slipping away the harder I try to hold it. Her heart skipped. Clara remembered him too, if only faintly. That meant she wasn't alone, not completely. But then Clara said something that made her stomach drop. I don't think you should fight this. Whatever's happening, it feels bigger than us. Like it wants us to forget. And I'm scared of what happens if we don't. The words planted a seed of doubt. Was she being reckless by holding on? Was it selfish, dangerous even, to dig deeper when the world seemed intent on erasing her brother's existence? She thought of her mother's calm denial, Clara's fear, the photos that looked too natural. Maybe resisting would only draw more attention she didn't want. Still, her stubbornness burned. Letting go meant betraying him, betraying herself. And so, she made a decision. She would search for proof beyond her memories, no matter the cost. That night, she packed the fading drawing, her phone, and a flashlight, and slipped out of the house. Something in her gut told her the answers weren't in the comfort of her room, but in the places tied to her brother. The park where they played, the school they both attended, the abandoned shed at the edge of town where he used to carve his initials. But as she stepped into the darkness, she felt eyes on her, watching from somewhere unseen. The streets were unnervingly quiet as she made her way toward the old shed at the edge of town. Her flashlight beam cut through the dark, but every few steps she caught herself glancing over her shoulder. The drawing in her pocket felt heavier with each passing minute, as though it carried the weight of everything she refused to forget. She stopped outside the shed. The wooden boards were warped, the door half broken, just as she remembered. Her brother used to call it their secret place. She whispered his name under her breath, hoping the memory would steady her, but the night air swallowed it whole. Inside, the smell of dust and damp would clung to her. She swept the flashlight across the walls, searching for the old carvings. Her heart nearly leapt when the light landed on them. Faint initials scratched into the planks. His name, her name, side by side. Proof. She pulled out her phone, desperate to take a picture, something solid she could hold on to later. But the screen flickered, then died. The flashlight wavered too, dimming for a split second before stabilizing. Her breath quickened. It felt like the world was resisting her attempt to preserve the truth. And then, footsteps again, this time closer, definite, coming from outside the shed. She froze. The sound stopped just beyond the door. Silence stretched, unbearable. Her pulse pounded in her ears. Slowly, she raised the flashlight toward the gap in the wood. A shadow shifted. Someone, or something, was standing there. She thought of Clara, her warning not to fight this. Of her mother, who didn't remember. A battle raged inside her. Should she stay hidden and safe, or step forward and confront whoever was trying to rewrite her life? Fear pressed her down, but anger gave her strength. She had already lost too much to turn back now. She moved toward the door. "Who are you?" Her voice cracked, barely more than a whisper. No reply, only the sound of breathing, low, steady, deliberate. Her hand reached for the broken wooden frame when suddenly, her flashlight sputtered and went out completely. Darkness swallowed her. For a few seconds, there was nothing, only her own ragged breaths. Then, a faint glow appeared in the corner of the shed. She turned. Her stomach knotted. The carvings on the wall were changing, shifting before her eyes. The letters of his name began to twist, stroke by stroke, until they reshaped into something unrecognizable. She stumbled back, colliding with the door. The shadow outside moved again, closer this time. She was trapped between the vanishing proof of her brother's existence and the presence waiting for her just beyond the doorway. The air grew colder. The wood creaked, and then the door began to open. The door creaked wider, groaning on rusted hinges. She held her breath, pressing against the far wall, heart pounding so violently she thought it might give her away. The shadow stretched across the floor, and then Clara stepped inside. Relief crashed over her in a wave, but it lasted only seconds. Clara's face was pale, her eyes too wide, almost glassy. Something about her looked wrong. Off. "You shouldn't be here," Clara whispered, voice trembling. "You scare me half to death," she snapped back, her voice sharper than intended. "Clara, look, the initials. They're changing. You saw him too, you remember. Please tell me you remember." Clara's gaze flicked to the wall. For a moment, her lips parted as if she recognized the fading carvings. But then she shook her head. "No, don't you see? That's what it wants. The more you hold on, the more it comes for you. You have to let him go." Her stomach dropped. "What are you saying?" Clara stepped closer, and her words cut like ice. "I lied before. I don't remember your brother. I never did. The dream I told you about, it wasn't mine. It was yours. You told me about him so many times, I started believing I'd seen him too. But it was always your memory, not mine." The betrayal stung more than the cold air around her. Clara was supposed to be her anchor, the only one who understood. But now even she was pulling away. "Why are you doing this to me?" she asked, voice breaking. Clara's expression hardened. "Because if you don't let go, it'll take you next. Don't you get it? This whatever it is, it feeds on the ones who fight it. That's why your brother is gone. That's why the photos changed. If you keep digging, you won't survive." Her hands shook as she backed toward the wall. Was Clara protecting her? Or had she already been taken by the same force, speaking its words instead of her own? And then, the real twist hit. The carvings on the wall flared with sudden light. Just for an instant, before rearranging into words she had never seen before. "She knows." Both girls froze, staring at the glowing message as it burned itself into the wood. Clara's breath hitched. For the first time, she looked terrified, truly terrified. "She," the young woman whispered. "Who's she?" But Clara didn't answer. Her expression twisted with panic, and without another word, she turned and bolted out of the shed, vanishing into the night. Left alone, trembling, the young woman pressed her hand against the glowing carvings. They pulsed faintly beneath her touch, alive somehow. Whoever, or whatever, was rewriting her life wasn't done yet. And now it had marked her as its next target. Outside, the footsteps returned. This time, they weren't Clara's. He reached into his pocket and pulled out something small, the same drawing she had hidden under her bed. But here, in his hand, the lines were darker, sharper, permanent. "Hold on to this. Don't let her take it. Your memory is the last thread she hasn't cut." She reached for it, but as her fingers brushed the paper, his form flickered. For an instant, his face shifted into that of the stranger from the photos. Then back again. His voice broke. "Hurry." The shed shook, the walls groaning as if the world itself were resisting. The carvings glowed once more, but now the words had changed. Only one stays. Her brother's figure wavered, fading in and out. She clutched the drawing tightly, her heart shattering as she made her choice. "You stay," she whispered. "I won't let you go." Light consumed the shed, blinding, searing, and then silence. When it cleared, the shed was empty. The drawings on the wall were gone, and in the family photo back home, two siblings smiled side by side. But in the corner of the image, half hidden by shadow, a woman's blurred face stared directly at the camera. Watching, waiting. Her hand lingered on the glowing words, the faint warmth seeping into her skin. She knows. The message pulsed once more, then dimmed until the carvings looked ordinary again, just rough scratches on rotting wood. But the silence outside didn't feel ordinary at all. Whoever was out there hadn't left. They were waiting. The door inched open wider with a low groan. She clenched the useless flashlight like a weapon, ready to swing. The shadow entered slowly, deliberately, and then a figure stepped inside. It wasn't Clara. It was him, her brother. He looked exactly as she remembered. Same scar on his cheek, same crooked smile, same eyes that used to look out for her. For a heartbeat, she forgot to breathe. Tears blurred her vision as she whispered his name. But something was wrong. He didn't speak. He only watched her, his expression caught between recognition and something colder, stranger. "You're not real," she said, backing up. "You can't be." Finally, he spoke. His voice was familiar but distant, like an echo. "I was real. I was here. But she made you forget. She made them all forget." Her pulse hammered. Who? Who was she? He stepped closer, the floor creaking under his weight. The one who rewrites. The one who erases. She's been here longer than you've lived. Every memory you cling to, every truth you think is yours, she decides what stays. And I was her mistake. The shed felt smaller, the air heavier. She wanted to run, but his eyes locked her in place. "I fought her," he continued, voice tightening, "and she erased me. But you..." His gaze softened, almost pleading. "You can finish what I couldn't. You can remember." Her throat tightened. This was the choice Clara warned her about. If she fought, she risked being erased herself. If she let go, she'd survive, alone, rewritten into a life where he never existed. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "Tell me how." When the light finally faded, the world felt eerily calm. She opened her eyes slowly, her heart still racing, unsure of what she would see. The shed was quiet. No glowing carvings, no shifting shadows. Only her, the drawing still clenched tightly in her trembling hand. For a moment, she thought she was alone. Then she noticed it. Her phone, lying by her side, buzzed back to life. She picked it up with shaking fingers and opened her gallery. Her breath caught in her throat. Every photo she scrolled through now showed two children, not one. Her brother was back. The birthday cakes, the vacations, the silly selfies, they were all there, complete again. Her heart swelled with relief, so sharp it hurt. Against all odds, she had pulled him back into existence. But the victory felt fragile. In the family portrait on her dresser, both siblings smiled happily, but in the far corner, a blurred shape lingered. A woman's face, half hidden, half smiling, watching. The truth was undeniable. She had won a battle, not the war. The force that rewrote memories wasn't gone. It was still out there, waiting for another chance. Her brother was proof that she could resist, but the shadow in the photo was a warning. She would have to stay vigilant, because memory itself was not safe. She thought about Clara, who had run into the night. Clara hadn't answered her calls since, and maybe she never would. Maybe Clara had been too close to the rewriting, her memories already fractured beyond repair. Or maybe she had simply chosen survival over resistance. Either way, their paths had diverged. Her mother, on the other hand, smiled through tears when she remembered both her children again. The memories seemed real to her now, as if they had never been erased at all. For her mother, life continued as if nothing strange had happened. And maybe that was a blessing. For the young woman, though, life would never be the same. She carried the weight of knowing how fragile reality could be. Yet she also carried proof, one small drawing, smudged and worn, but permanent. It was her anchor, her reminder that truth could survive even against the impossible. As she placed the photo back on the dresser, she whispered to herself, half a promise, half a warning, "I will remember. No matter what she takes, I will remember." And maybe that was the lesson all along, that memory, love, and truth are worth fighting for, even when the world tries to erase them. Because the moment we stop remembering, we stop existing. So if you're watching this now, ask yourself, what memory would you fight to keep, even if the world told you it never happened? And if you believe in holding on to what matters most, don't just keep it to yourself. Share it, write it, tell someone you love before it fades. Because sometimes the smallest memory is the only thing keeping us alive.